Hey everybody, today we are with my good friend Jen Rudin, who is an award-winning casting director who has written a book called Confessions of a Casting Director. You can find it on Amazon.com as well as jenrudin.com. Hi Jen.
Hi,
How you
it's
doing?
exciting to be here.
How long have you been casting?
I've been casting since 2000, so we're coming up on almost 17, 18 years. And I've seen it all, which is why I wrote the book. I've seen everything go wrong in the audition room. I've seen actors make mistakes in the audition room, and so I wrote this book so that actors have some helpful tips and tricks to navigate the audition process.
Explain to us typically how submissions work.
I can organize it by agency and look at the submissions. I can also organize that by role. And of course, I'm going to look at the agencies. The best agencies are going to take my immediate attention, and the other agencies will be something that I will get to. I am so OCD and organized that I want to click through every single submission and take a look. So the important thing an actor can do is form relationships with casting directors. It's really important to try to meet agents, to try to get into the door so that you can get into the audition room.
How many actors do you typically see for the parts that you're casting?
So it depends on the role. I do a lot of kids casting, and with kids casting, you want to see everybody because today's 11-year-old is yesterday's 9-year-old, and they might be different now at 11 than they were at 9. So for kids, they get an easier shot at getting an audition because kids are always changing, and we always have to investigate and see how they're doing. With adults, it absolutely depends on how many days I have to prep my casting sessions, how much money has been allotted for casting, how many days of casting I can do, and how many people I can see per role. So there's never enough time. There is never enough time to see everybody.
So what is it that actually makes you call in somebody that you don't know?
If I don't know an actor, and I'm poking around in my breakdowns and I'm taking a look, and I look at headshots and think, do I want to meet this person? What is it about this person that makes me want to give them the one free audition slot I have? And that's where it's so important to look like your headshot and to come in and resemble the person whose essence I saw in that photo. So that's why the photos are so important if we don't know you. And they're also important when you're Natalie Portman. By the time you're famous, you still need to always have good photos.
What are some tips that can help people put together the resume?
Don't lie. No. I want to know your name. I want a phone number that works. I want an email that's not like lilboopycurly411 at AOL. I want so-and-so da-da-da at gmail.com. I don't want anything cute and fussy. You're a professional actor. You should have a professional email account for yourself, and it should be very easy to type. It shouldn't be anything cute. Theater credits, TV credits, feature film credits, I guess. For Los Angeles, you always want to have your TV and film credits on top, theater credits below. In New York, it's usually the reverse, depending. Sometimes people have two different resumes and their theater stuff's on top for their theater auditions, and then the film and TV can be swapped out. If you are bilingual, I really want to see that on your resume, but you better be bilingual.
Right.
I was casting Sesame Street, season 46. We needed a Hispanic actress who was bilingual. So at the audition, I asked the women to tell me what they had for breakfast in Spanish. And boy, if I didn't weed out some people who weren't bilingual. So if you're going to put any special skills down, you really have to be able to do them. Directors you've worked with, teachers, if you have an MFA in acting, that's great to see. If you don't have much and you're just starting out, put your school plays if you're a child, put church, put short web series that you've done, and you'll build up your resume.
Is there something that you go to first on the resume?
The most important thing about the resume is that we learn about you. I think it's cool if you have like a biochemistry degree. I often find that really interesting when somebody has a BS in biology and it's on their resume because it shows that they're a smart person. I'm always curious.
Tell me what piques your interest when you see headshots.
Eyes. I love to see what's happening in the eyes. Sometimes I look at a headshot and somebody's eyes are very vacant and there's not a lot going on. Eyes are friendly, they tell a story. I'm a very social person, so when I'm looking at a headshot, I want to see if this is somebody I would want to have a chat with on an airplane or somebody I would want to chat with at Starbucks. Are they friendly? Are they approachable? So that's one side of the headshots. If it's a role that's dramatic or it's a cop or it's a dark drama, then I want to see the headshot where there's something going on. There's some thoughts behind the eyes.
Talk about when somebody messes up with their headshot.
There is nothing more disappointing than calling an actor in based off of a headshot and having the actor walk into the room and not look anything like their headshot. It's disappointing, especially if I'm casting a romantic lead. I'm trying to cast the husband of somebody for the show, and I need a 6'2" guy with green eyes, and I've just selected an actor I don't know based off of the headshot, and he walks in and he's not that same guy. It could be that the headshot is 10 years old. It could be that he's put on some weight. I didn't know this is mean, but you really need to look like your headshot, because that's why we brought you in if we don't know you and your work. But the most important thing for me is good lighting and looking like you on your best day. Just like I go to the professional dentist and doctor for my health, you have to go to a professional headshot photographer, because even with iPhones and all of that, I see more people coming in with terrible pictures, and usually it's lighting. It's the lighting that's terrible, and they say, oh yeah, my cousin did my headshot. If you're a professional actor, you need a professional headshot, because that is part of your portfolio to put yourself forward to start to get work.
What are some of the differences between like casting an animated film or casting a Broadway show or casting a series or casting a small film?
Sure, casting is all about timing, and sometimes you have a lot of time and sometimes there's no time. So for a Broadway show, when it's starting out, you're going to have a lot of time to meet actors, to figure out how many actors are going to be hired in the long run. You have time to do dance auditions and acting auditions and singing auditions. Commercial casting, it's tomorrow for Burger King, and you have to call your agent friends and get people to show up for the audition tomorrow. I am a hired consultant to the project, so my job is to make the vision of the filmmaker or director or producer's dreams come true and populate the world with the best actors possible, and that's going to be very different depending on the project. Voiceover casting, sometimes we're hiring celebrities, and then we get to some of the other parts. Voiceover casting is a thrill because I gather MP3s and send links to my creative team. Theater, you're showing up at the studio with your tap shoes, you're learning a dance combination. It's a lot like a chorus line. And a TV audition, you're going on camera, you're learning 13 pages of sides, maybe the night before the audition, and you've got to come in with your hair and makeup done and looking great and prove to us that you're hireable for whatever part we're casting.
Obviously, it's fun to call when you're giving good news, but do you also make the calls when you're delivering bad news?
I can't make those calls for everybody, because sometimes there are 60 actors a day that come in, so you're talking about hundreds of actors a week. When you get to the final round of auditions and you're talking about 3 actors in contention for the role, I feel it is my duty as a human being, as a nice human being, to call that agent or manager and let them know it's not going any further. And believe me, most of the time they know that that's the case because they haven't gotten the official offer. But we can't do that for everybody. And for actors, you just got to go on all your auditions. It's a numbers game. All those cliches are true. Most of the time it's not about you, it's about figuring out all the other dynamics of the cast, and you gotta just keep on doing it until something happens and you decide you don't want to do it anymore.
Along those lines, what do you feel about when agents call and want feedback on their clients?
I understand that agents want feedback. I did work at an agency for about a year, and I remember that all the actors always wanted feedback, and there's not enough hours in the day to give feedback to everybody. But I think if a manager or an agent has a personal relationship with me, we've had lunch, we've shared a meal, I will give them feedback. I just may not be able to give it to them that day. And oftentimes on the weekends during pilot season, that's when I'll catch up on my correspondence and get back to people. Oof.
So,
the $1 million question.
Yeah, what is it like in the room?
An audition is a job interview, and unfortunately actors have to go on them all the time. So if you think of it like a job interview, you will put your best foot forward and try to be as prepared as possible. My best advice for every audition is to plan backwards. So if the audition is Thursday at 5 o'clock and you get the appointment Tuesday at 2 o'clock, you have about 48 hours to plan how you're going to arrive at your audition composed, calm, cool, collected, and prepared.
So what makes a good audition once they're in the room?
Being prepared.
Yeah.
These days, you have to really be memorized with your audition scenes. The second you look down at your script, they're going to go on to the next person. You've dropped out of the audition because you've lost your place. Now, things happen, and you should always bring your script in the audition room with you in case I say, let's go back and let's do the scene from the top. But you just have to, you've got to be prepared, and that means if you have 13 pages that you have to learn, that means you have to cancel the date that night that you had and just hunker down and learn those lines and make that audition your big priority.
Is there anything that actors can do to be memorable without looking desperate?
Just come in, make strong choices, be nice, be early, not too early,
Fine.
and give a good audition, and then say thank you and leave. If you come in with all this crazy drama and all your baggage and all your messy stuff and you try to shake my hand, I'm not going to look fondly on you. You have one chance in life to make a good first impression on a casting director. If you're a child, you got a few more chances because you're a kid. You've one chance to come in and make a good first impression, so you really want to do your best. Things happen. We get migraines. There's traffic. I know about all of that. In fact, the editor of my book was laughing because so many times did I say the traffic, the tunnel traffic in New York, the 405 in LA. But this is true. This is what you deal with every day to try to get to your audition. But we don't want to hear any of that in the audition room because we all had to get here too.
Yeah.
We just want you to come in, give a good audition, and leave.
And be professional.
Yep, and that we can cast the role and get on with our day.
But you feel like you know what you're looking for when you're casting. It's rare that you don't have a clear idea of what you're casting before.
We have a clear idea based on what the casting breakdown says, based on what the producer and director wants. There are times in casting, especially during pilot season, where somebody from Los Angeles, one of the executives, will call me and say, actually, the gender just changed. Actually, the role just got cut. Actually, instead of being a 30-year-old woman, we want a 60-year-old man. And I have to either stop my casting session, send some people home, or strategize about how I'm going to get the next round of actors in. That happens all the time because they think they know what they want, they don't know what they want, and then it changes. Chandra Wilson on Grey's Anatomy, apparently the role was written for Kristen Chenoweth. That's a great audition story that somebody completely different came in, and you could never imagine anybody else playing a Miranda.
Yeah.
Than Chandra. And it's about relationships. So even if you come in for something on Tuesday and you're not right for it, if we went a different way, all these cliches, I'll bring you back again because you gave a great audition and you're a good actor, and it's just about finding the right role.
Have there been times where people surprise you?
For instance, casting Mary Poppins, we were constantly finding sets of Jane and Michael Banks. And so a 7-year-old came in and he had complete ADD and he was really cute, but he couldn't handle it. And 2 years later or 3 years later, he came back, and whether or not he'd been medicated or gone through therapy, he was terrific and he ended up getting the part. So there's a great example where he came in with some potential, didn't impress me, and then 2 years later had grown up enough and came in and got the role. So actors can change. You really can change with focus and concentration.
How do you like to continue to keep up with actors?
Technology can really be used for good for an actor. It can also be really negative. The good stuff is you want to have a Twitter handle, you want to have an Instagram, and you might want to have a website when it's time. And be careful because you also do have a Facebook profile, but remember, we can just check out an actor even before I've met them and see what their photos are like, what they've posted. So you want to remember that you're trying to be a professional actor and you need to make sure that all of that stuff is PG.
If you don't have an agent or a manager, is there a way to make that connection with a casting director?
Oftentimes, if I'm desperately casting a role, I'll tweet what I'm looking for, and people can communicate that way. So sometimes you can actually get a job through Twitter. I know Seth Rudetsky, who's a friend of mine, found a young actor for one of his shows because the boy had tweeted and posted a video, and that's where technology can be great. One thing I will say about Facebook, there's a story. I had lunch with an agent, and one of his clients had posted on Facebook as his status, "Finally have a commercial audition. Nice to see my agents finally getting me an audition." Well, it doesn't matter what the intent was of his ha 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 funny post. It was the impact. And the owner of the agency saw that post and promptly picked up the phone and terminated that actor's contract. And the actor said, "But I was just kidding." It doesn't matter. You need to keep your auditions to yourself. I constantly see people posting on Facebook, "I was in the room with Tom Selleck for my Blue Bloods callback." That's nobody's business. It's wonderful that Mr. Selleck was in the room, but it's nobody's business where you were, what callbacks you got, and I think it's bad karma to be boasting about your callbacks. I don't think you should post anything until you've officially gotten the offer and the producer has told you it is okay to post the photos and post the news.
With the social media, does it affect your opinion of actors as far as how many followers they have?
These days, sometimes casting is all about how many followers you have on Twitter. I don't think that's how we should be doing casting, but unfortunately, social media has played an important role in sometimes how people get cast. But even if you have tons of social media followers, social media does not replace talent, and talent happens when you meet somebody face to face.
Well, we'd just like to thank you again for being here. We really appreciate your time, and I know that everybody that's following us on social media is going to really appreciate this.
If you want to follow me, I'm at RudinJen on Twitter, and Instagram is at RudinJ, but really you can go to jenrudin.com and find all the answers there.
And definitely check out Confessions of a Casting Director. There are a lot more tips on how to navigate the industry, so check that out. It's on Amazon.com, and it's also on jenrudin.com. Thanks.